The stars quivered as the Vex vessels tore across the cosmos, their crystalline forms glinting against the endless black. For 3 months, these ships had traveled from one planet to the next, leaving behind lifeless, barren husks in their wake. On Centauri Prime, silence fell over the Grand Assembly Hall. Seated around a vast circular table were the leaders of 17 distinct alien civilizations. Fear marked their faces, an emotion rarely seen among such formidable beings. "The Vex have annihilated another settlement," reported Trell, the cerulean-skinned ruler of the Trellix. His 6 fingers drummed anxiously against the table. "That brings the total to 12 planets in just 90 days. Across from him, Ambassador Zorth, an entity composed entirely of energy contained within a specialized containment suit, glowed a somber red. "Our most advanced vessels are ineffective against them," he said. "The Vex merely absorb our energy-based weapons and grow even stronger." Displays surrounding the chamber broadcast the latest assault. Massive crystal ships shaped like jagged shards encircling a lush green world. Beams of concentrated light cascaded down to the surface. Within moments, the planet's vibrant hues drained into a dull gray as the Vex siphoned away every resource. "Alderaan lost 3 full fleets defending Nexus 4, announced Council Leader Marrera. Her scaly complexion had turned ashen. Their weaponry couldn't penetrate the crystalline hulls. Chaos erupted in the hall. Some delegates pushed for capitulation. Others insisted on evacuations. A few proposed a final, united offensive. In the midst of the commotion, Ambassador Gar of the Alderaan Conclave rose. His elongated form stood tall above the others, and the 4 eyes on his forehead blinked in measured unison as he waited for quiet. "There's one species we haven't approached," he said calmly. The room fell still. "They joined our alliance only 3 decades ago. Their technology is rudimentary compared to ours." A ripple of laughter spread through the chamber. Council Leader Mia raised her hand to restore order. "The humans?" she asked with disbelief. "What could they possibly offer against an adversary that's overwhelmed our most sophisticated forces?" Zultar's upper eyes narrowed. "They are different," he said slowly. "Their history is rife with internal wars. While our civilizations thrived in harmony, they progressed through strife." He tapped a control panel, revealing an image of a small blue planet orbiting a standard yellow sun. "They call it Earth," he continued. "When we first encountered them, we feared they were too aggressive to join the Alliance, and yet they've shown remarkable resilience. Resilience won't stop ships that absorb any energy thrown at them," Trell muttered. "Maybe not," Zultar agreed. "But humans perceive patterns we often overlook. They uncover solutions where others see only dead ends." Council Leader Marrera exhaled slowly. "We're running out of options." "Send the message to Earth, though I'm not convinced even they can turn the tide." As the summit adjourned, an urgent notification flashed across the screens. Another colony had gone dark. The Vex were accelerating, now advancing toward the central systems. What the Council didn't realize was that far away, on Earth, humanity had been bracing for this moment ever since their eyes first turned skyward, wondering what threats might be lurking in the void. In a secret underground command facility on Earth, Admiral Helen Chen read the Alliance transmission for the 3rd time. Her sharp gaze lingered on the grim details of the Vex onslaught. 12 worlds gone in 3 months, she said to the gathering of top military officials. And none of the Alliance's arsenal has even scratched their ships. General Tory shook his head. "They think of us as primitive, just Earthlings dabbling in basic spaceflight. They don't know what we've been working on." Behind them, wall screens displayed footage of Vex crystal vessels. Scientists in white lab coats analyzed the data intently, whispering to one another as they took notes. "We suspected something like this might happen after first contact," said Admiral Chen. "While we smiled and signed trade deals, we were preparing for war." She pressed a control, illuminating the center table with a 3D projection of a massive battleship. It hovered in the air above the table. Unlike the sleek, elegant designs of Alliance cruisers, this warship was rugged and menacing, bristling with weaponry in all directions. "The UEES Nemesis," she declared, "our first and only Omega-class warship." A hushed awe swept the room as they observed the vessel. It had taken 2 decades to complete, hidden in a concealed dock on the moon's far side. a fusion of human ingenuity and salvaged alien tech. If we dispatch the Nemesis, said Defense Minister Choi cautiously, Earth will be left vulnerable. Admiral Chen gave a solemn nod. True, but if the Vex conquer the Alliance, we're next. Better to face them far from home than wait for them to arrive at our doorstep. The Global Defense Council convened. The vote was unanimous. The Nemesis would be deployed. 3 days later, Captain Maya Donovan stood on the command bridge of the colossal warship. Through the viewport, she watched Earth shrink into a speck behind them. They pulled away from orbit. We're ready for jump, said First Officer Commander Jackson. Engineering reports all systems are go. Captain Maya Donovan, aged 42, had served in space for 15 years. Out of thousands of candidates, she was handpicked to lead this critical mission. Her short, chestnut hair framed a face marked by sharp intellect and unshakable resolve. This ship represents the pinnacle of humanity, she told her 300-strong crew. The Alliance sees us as underdeveloped. The Vex believe they're unbeatable. Both are mistaken. Unlike typical Alliance vessels, where each crew member specialized in a single task, the Nemesis followed a different doctrine. Every crew member was cross-trained. Soldiers knew how to repair engines, and engineers could operate weapon systems. They were prepared for anything. The Alliance doesn't fully grasp what sets humans apart, Donovan murmured to Commander Jackson. We don't just adjust to our surroundings, we reshape them to suit us. The deep rumble of the engines grew as the Nemesis readied for faster-than-light travel. Plot a course to Proxima Centauri, she commanded. Let's show the galaxy what one human warship can accomplish. The stars blurred into streaks of light as the Nemesis disappeared into hyperspace, carrying the last hopes of Earth and a desperate interstellar alliance that still had no idea what their newest allies were truly capable of. The Nemesis emerged near Proxima Centauri in a burst of light, dwarfing the gathered Alliance vessels with its sheer size. Its dark metallic hull absorbed surrounding starlight instead of reflecting it. On board the Alliance flagship, alarms blared. "What is that?" gasped Admiral Genva of the Trellix. His blue complexion faded with shock at the sight of the colossal human ship. "I thought humans only possessed small merchant crafts." Suddenly, a communication screen flickered on, revealing Captain Donovan's face. "This is Captain Maya Donovan of the UES Nemesis," she announced. "We're here to assist with your Vex situation." The Alliance officers stared in disbelief. They had anticipated a modest advisory team, not a warship larger than anything in their entire fleet. "Captain Donovan," began Admiral Shenville cautiously, "we value Earth's enthusiasm, but the Vex cannot be countered with outdated weaponry. They've obliterated our most advanced forces." Donovan's expression didn't change at the implied insult. "Understood. How would you like us to contribute?" The alien commanders conversed quietly. They didn't entirely trust the imposing human vessel, but with resources dwindling, they couldn't afford to turn away help. "There's a civilian convoy in the Idani system," Admiral Genva finally said. 3 passenger ships evacuating a soon-to-be targeted planet. You may join the escort group. It was a basic assignment, far from the front lines and with little expected conflict. "We accept," Donovan replied without hesitation. 2 days later, the Nemesis and 2 Alliance frigates flanked the convoy as it moved through the void of space. Captain Donovan sat calmly in her command chair, eyes fixed on the display. "Contact," shouted the sensor officer. 3 Vex vessels inbound. The Alliance captains immediately transmitted warnings. "Scout formation detected. We must defend the convoy at all costs. Human ship, stay back." The Alliance vessels moved to intercept, prepared to sacrifice themselves if necessary. But Captain Donovan had a different strategy. "Engines to maximum thrust," she ordered. "Swing us around that gas giant. Prepare a gravity assist maneuver." The crew sprang into action. Commander Jackson glanced up. "Alliance ships are ordering us to fall back, Captain." "Tell them to focus on the civilians," Donovan replied. "We'll deal with the Vex." The Nemesis accelerated, using the gas giant's gravity to slingshot around at breakneck speed, placing the ship directly behind the advancing Vex. "They won't expect a frontal assault," Donovan said. "They've never encountered kinetic weaponry." "Fire the main railgun." The warship trembled as its primary weapon came online. Unlike the Alliance's energy-based armaments, the railgun launched solid metal projectiles at relativistic speeds. The first Vex ship exploded like shattering glass, pierced straight through by the hypervelocity slug. The remaining two ships turned in confusion, unprepared for this kind of attack. Their defenses, built to absorb energy blasts, were ineffective against raw kinetic force. Fire again. Full barrage. The Nemesis unleashed another salvo, accompanied by its point defense systems, flooding space with a torrent of physical munitions. For the first time, the Vex weren't just stalled, they were overwhelmed. The Vex withdrew. On the Alliance command channel, an eerie silence followed. Then Admiral Shenna's voice finally broke through. Captain Donovan, it appears we've greatly underestimated humanity's potential. Please join us for an immediate strategic meeting. Donovan allowed herself a faint smile and gave the command to set a course for the Alliance flagship. The real battle was only beginning. Standing before the gathered War Council, Captain Donovan faced representatives from numerous alien species. This time, they looked at her with newfound respect. Your weapons were able to damage the Vex's crystal ships, said Admiral Genva, still visibly perplexed. Our energy-based attacks are simply absorbed. How is this possible? Donovan activated a portable holoprojector, displaying visuals and schematics of various weapon systems. The Vex adapted themselves to counter energy weapons, she explained. Their crystalline structures are designed to capture and redirect those types of attacks. But humans never fully abandoned kinetic weaponry. She projected a close-up of the Nemesis's railguns. These fire-dense metal slugs at hypervelocities, no energy beams, no plasma, just raw impact. The Vex have no countermeasures for this kind of assault. The Council murmured in astonishment. For species who had relied solely on energy-based technology for millennia, the concept of a physical projectile weapon was almost forgotten. Captain, said Council Leader Mia, we require your assistance. The Vex appear to be constructing something massive in the altar system. We need to know what it is. The Nemesis can investigate, Donovan responded. We're equipped with stealth systems. That statement caused a stir. Most Alliance civilizations had never developed cloaking or stealth technology. In their long era of peace, there had never been a reason to hide. 2 days later, the Nemesis entered the altar system undetected. Its advanced hull coating absorbed enemy scans, rendering the ship nearly invisible to sensors. Drifting silently through the void, the crew maintained radio silence. We're detecting enormous energy output from the fourth planet, reported Dr. Elias Kaminsky, a wiry man with sharp reflexes and thick glasses. The main screen displayed an enormous ring-shaped installation orbiting a captured Alliance world. Hundreds of Vex ships hovered around it, moving with mechanical precision. What is that? Asked Commander Jackson, eyes fixed on the feed. Dr. Kaminsky scrutinized the data. It appears to be a quantum communications network. If completed, the Vex could instantly synchronize their entire fleet across the galaxy. That would make them unbeatable, Donovan finished grimly. The Alliance leaders watched the live transmission with unease. Some proposed launching a massive full-scale assault. Others leaned toward surrender, fearing further devastation. We need to act fast, said Donovan, but not with overwhelming force. That's exactly what they'd anticipate. What's your suggestion? Asked Admiral Genva. A precision strike. The Nemesis can infiltrate the area using our stealth tech and disable the array before it's brought online. There was hesitation. Most commanders were trained for large frontal assaults, not covert missions. But after so many defeats, their faith in traditional tactics was waning. Very well, Admiral Genva agreed, but I request that one of our officers accompany your crew. Commander Nix, a blue-skinned Trellix with large, expressive eyes, stepped forward. I volunteer. Donovan nodded. Welcome aboard, Commander. As they exited the chamber, Commander Jackson leaned in and whispered, Do you think she's here to help or to monitor us? Probably both, Donovan replied with a slight smirk. But that's fine. It's time the Alliance learned how humans really wage war. The Nemesis readied itself for its most perilous operation yet. With the fate of the galaxy resting on its crew, the ship began its approach, moving like a shadow across the stars. Captain Donovan ordered a series of rapid, short-range jumps, appearing only briefly near moons, planets, and asteroids before vanishing again. The risky maneuver kept them under the Vex's radar. Commander Nix observed the crew with growing curiosity. On Alliance vessels, roles were rigid. Engineers never fired weapons, and scientists never handled defense. But on the Nemesis, everyone was cross-trained. "Why is your medical officer practicing with weapons?" Nix asked as they watched Dr. Martinez fire at moving targets in the training bay. "Because if we're boarded, every crew member fights," Donovan explained. "And if the weapons team is injured, medical personnel need to be able to defend the ship." Nix shook her head slowly. "Your species always seems prepared for disaster." Donovan gave a short nod. "That's how we survive. We've survived by doing just that," Donovan said. As they neared the planet under Vex control, the ship's sensors picked up something unexpected. "Captain," called Dr. Kaminsky from his station, "I'm detecting biological signatures on the planet's surface, Alliance species." The command deck fell into a tense silence. Donovan walked over to the science console, studying the readings closely. "Prisoners," she muttered. "The Vex are keeping captured civilians alive, likely for experimentation." Commander Nix's blue complexion grew pale. "My people could be among them. We must rescue them." "Our primary mission is to take down the quantum array," Commander Jackson reminded her. "We can't endanger the entire operation for a rescue attempt." Donovan was silent for a long moment, then made a decision that took the Alliance officer by surprise. "We'll do both. I'll lead a ground team to free the captives. Commander Jackson, prep the ship for the main offensive on the array." "You're dividing your forces?" Nix asked in disbelief. "That goes against every military doctrine." "It's the human way," Donovan replied calmly. "We adapt, we improvise." She looked at Nix. "Would you care to join the extraction team?" Hours later, Donovan led a small strike team through the dim hallways of the Vex complex. They moved like ghosts, wearing specialized suits that masked their body heat. Commander Nix followed closely behind, observing the humans' tactics. They didn't just fight, they deceived. They planted decoys to mislead Vex sensors. They rerouted power to overload systems and created diversions using the enemy's own infrastructure. When they reached the detention area, they found hundreds of Alliance citizens encased in crystal-like cells. The team worked fast, unlocking cells and leading captives out without triggering alarms. "I don't understand," Nix whispered as they quietly guided the rescued individuals back to their shuttle. "There are only 10 of you. Thousands of Vex roam this facility. How are you not paralyzed with fear?" Sergeant Kim, a young woman armed with 3 weapons, grinned at her. "Oh, we are terrified, but humans tend to do their finest work when they're scared out of their minds." Donovan was placing small devices at strategic points throughout the building as they left. Nix noticed but said nothing. She was starting to trust the captain's unconventional methods. As their shuttle launched back toward the Nemesis, Nix stared out the window at the colossal Vex installation far below. "What happens now?" she asked. Donovan checked the time on her wrist display. "Now," she said, "we teach the Vex what happens when you make an enemy of humanity." The Nemesis hovered at the edge of the Vex fleet's detection range. On the bridge, Captain Donovan reviewed the final strike plan with her officers and Commander Nix. "The array is nearly complete," said Dr. Kaminsky, indicating the enormous ring-like structure on the main screen. "In under 12 hours, it will be fully functional," he added grimly. Commander Jackson reported, "There are 217 Vex ships guarding it, more than 20 times our combat strength." Commander Nix shook her head. "Even with your advanced arsenal, there's no way to overcome such numbers." Donovan smiled faintly. "We don't need to destroy them all, just the array." She turned to her communications officer. "Send the signal to the Alliance Reserve Fleet. Tell them to stand by." The operation had begun. The Nemesis dropped its cloaking systems and surged toward the array at maximum velocity. Alarm sirens blared aboard the ship as Vex sensors picked them up. Enemy vessels swarmed to intercept. "They're converging, Captain," the tactical officer confirmed. "Exactly as planned," Donovan replied. The Nemesis executed a series of complex evasive maneuvers, seemingly chaotic to observers, but each one positioning enemy ships into vulnerable alignments. "They're opening fire!" Jackson shouted. The ship trembled under the impact of crystal-based energy beams. System reports poured in. Shields were failing. "Captain, we can't hold out much longer," the engineering officer warned. Commander Nix gripped her seat, convinced they were moments from destruction. Donovan, however, remained composed. "Now," she said quietly. Dr. Kaminsky activated a command on his console. Far below, in the Vex structure, the devices Donovan had discreetly planted earlier went live all at once. A massive pulse of electromagnetic energy radiated outward. The pulse didn't destroy the Vex, but it shattered the delicate crystal network linking their collective consciousness. On the main display, the bridge crew watched in awe as the Vex formation broke apart. Ships drifted in confusion, no longer moving in concert. "Target the array. Fire everything we've got," Donovan ordered. The Nemesis unleashed its full arsenal, railguns launching dense projectiles, missile pods erupting in synchronized volleys. For 30 relentless seconds, the human vessel rained destruction. Destruction rained down upon the quantum array as the massive ring structure fractured, fragments spinning off in every direction. Just then, the Alliance reinforcement fleet emerged from hyperspace. They encountered a Vex armada in disarray. Half of their vessels disabled, the rest confused and unable to coordinate. "Commence the assault," commanded Admiral Genva from the Alliance flagship. "Follow the human ship's lead." What unfolded was less a battle and more a collapse. The once feared Vex fleet, no longer bound by their collective mind, fell apart under the combined offensive. Disconnected and disorganized, each ship fought alone, and poorly. Hours later, Captain Donovan stood on the battered bridge of the Nemesis, receiving a transmission from the Alliance Council. "You've achieved what we believed to be impossible," said Council Leader Mia. "For the first time, we have real hope of defeating the Vex entirely." After the call, Commander Nix approached Donovan. "I understand now," she said softly. "The Vex may be more advanced in technology, but they lack imagination. They can't adjust when the unexpected happens." "And that," Donovan replied, "is humanity's greatest advantage. We've spent our entire history adapting in order to endure." As repair teams scrambled to restore the damaged systems, the Nemesis readied for its next mission. The tide of war had turned, and the tale of the lone human warship was beginning to echo across the stars. Over the next 3 months, following the destruction of the quantum array, the Nemesis transformed into a roaming academy and innovation hub. Alliance vessels docked alongside to learn and evolve. Captain Donovan and her crew worked tirelessly, instructing Alliance engineers in how to retrofit their energy-based weapons to launch physical projectiles. Alien tacticians were taught how to employ erratic, unexpected strategies in combat. Commander Nix became the vital link between humanity and the rest of the Alliance. She helped interpret and translate human combat tactics for species who had never encountered concepts like surprise assaults or fake retreats. "Using deception in battle feels dishonorable," said one Alaran officer after learning about ambush tactics. "The Vex don't care about honor," Nix replied. "They care about winning. If we want to survive, we must evolve, just like the humans did." Aboard the Nemesis, Donovan and her officers closely monitored Vex fleet movements across the galaxy. The crystalline entities had shifted their focus. Rather than expanding, they now concentrated on safeguarding the territories they still held. "They're adapting, to us specifically," said Dr. Kaminsky, analyzing the latest data. "Their new ships have reinforced crystal plating, much more resistant to kinetic strikes. They've also developed countermeasures to our electronic warfare," added Commander Jackson. "They're evolving." "Then we need to evolve again," Donovan responded. She turned to her communications officer. "Send word to all upgraded Alliance ships. It's time for Operation Shadow." The Vex had amassed their forces for a massive retaliation, targeting key Alliance core worlds. Their fleet, over 500 strong, swept through space like a glittering wave, seemingly unstoppable. But as they neared the Centauri system, their sensors detected a solitary ship, the Nemesis, stationed ahead, as if daring them to strike. The Vex commander ordered all vessels to converge on the human ship that had repeatedly disrupted their plans. Hundreds of crystal beams fired at once. But something was off. The Nemesis didn't dodge. It didn't return fire. It simply detonated. Too late, the Vex realized the deception. The ship wasn't the Nemesis at all. It was a modified Alliance cruiser emitting the same energy signature, a decoy. The real nemesis, accompanied by 200 enhanced Alliance ships, emerged from concealed locations within the asteroid belt. They attacked from behind, catching the Vex completely off guard. Their coordinated assault tore through the Vex ranks. "All weapons fire," ordered Donovan. "Focus on their command ships first." The battle raged for 3 days. The Nemesis sustained catastrophic damage, losing major systems, many weapons, and nearly a third of its crew. But when the final energy bursts faded, the outcome was clear. The Vex leadership had been annihilated. The rest of their fleet splintered, fleeing across the stars, no longer a cohesive threat. In the Nemesis's shattered medbay, Captain Donovan sat beside a wounded Commander Nix, who had been injured shielding a human engineer during the fight. "Why?" Donovan asked quietly. "Why risk your life for one of us?" Nix gave a faint, tired smile. "Because," she said, "you humans have taught us something worth protecting. Something significant. Alone, we are exposed. Together, we are resilient." For the first time since the war began, the galaxy dared to envision peace. 6 months after the Great Battle, peace returned to the galaxy. The remaining Vex, cut off from their central consciousness, surrendered and consented to reside on a remote planet under the supervision of the Alliance. The UES Nemesis, repaired yet still marked by the scars of numerous battles, prepared for its journey back home. In the main hall of the Alliance flagship, delegates from all 17 member species convened to honor the human crew. Captain Donovan, now promoted to Admiral, stood before the assembly. Her uniform was adorned with the highest military decoration in the galaxy, a crystal star that gleamed with its own radiance. "The Vex were defeated," she said in her address, "not through superior technology, but through collaboration. Humans introduced new concepts, but it was the Alliance's ships and crews who fought courageously alongside us." Council leader Mia stepped forward. "For millennia, we believed that peace could only come from having the same ideas, the same perspectives. Humans taught us that true strength arises from diverse viewpoints working in unison." She raised her scaled hands. "We offer humanity a permanent seat on the Alliance High Council, an honor once reserved only for species with at least 1,000 years of spacefaring history." On Earth, crowds gathered in every city to watch the ceremony broadcast on large screens. The once secret UES Nemesis had become a symbol of human ingenuity and bravery. Admiral Genva, who had once regarded humans as primitive, now stood as Donovan's ally. "The Alliance has evolved because of you," he said. "We now understand that preparing for danger is not paranoia, it is wisdom." Across the galaxy, Alliance worlds began constructing their own defense ships, no longer solely reliant on the central fleet. They integrated human designs and strategies, creating vessels that merged the finest technologies from all species. As the Nemesis prepared to depart, newly promoted Admiral Nix observed from her own ship's bridge. Her vessel bore distinct human influence, angular weapon systems, and unpredictable engine layouts. "They arrived in a single ship," she remarked to her first officer, "and altered everything we believed we knew about warfare, cooperation, and survival." On Earth, the returning heroes found their world transformed. Humanity's position in the galaxy was secured, their reputation legendary. Construction began on 10 new warships, each incorporating lessons learned during the conflict. The original Nemesis, too damaged for further service, was repurposed into a museum and training facility. Future space captains would walk its halls and learn how one ship and its crew had saved the galaxy. In her new office at Earth Defense Command, Admiral Donovan gazed at the stars through her window. The Vex were contained, but space was vast, filled with unknown threats. "What's on your mind?" asked Commander Jackson, now her chief advisor. "That we should keep preparing," Donovan replied with a slight smile. "The galaxy is peaceful now, but history teaches us that peace doesn't endure forever." Somewhere in the void between galaxies, something stirred. The Vex had been mere scouts for something far older and more menacing. But when that ancient evil finally arrived, it would confront a united galaxy, ready to face whatever came next, with humanity standing at the forefront.